Hey guys, welcome back. Today's look is a soft glam look. She was actually going to a wedding, but I'm sure you can do this makeup look for any occasion. To start her face, I'm going to be using the Rimmel Fix and Perfect primer for her T-zone, and then I'm using MAC's Strobe Cream for the outer areas of her face just to moisturize and give it a little bit of a glow. The Rimmel is going to keep her T-zone matte and fill in any pores and kind of just prime the whole area. I'm going to be using MAC's Soft Ochre Paint Pot to prime her eyes. This gives us a nice clean canvas to work with. I'm going to be using Dip Brow by Anastasia Beverly Hills in the shade Caramel in this Bodyography brow powder. So what I'm doing first is I'm filling in her eyebrows with the Dip Brow. It's probably about 1 or 2 shades lighter than her actual eyebrow color. And then what I do is I go on top of that with a little bit of a darker eyebrow powder. Dip Brow can be very concentrated, so I like to use 1 or 2 shades lighter just so your brows don't look so bold, and then fill it in with a little bit of powder if I need to darken it up a little bit. And it's cool too because it gives the lighter effect in the front of her brows, and then I can kind of deepen out the outer areas to give it that faded look. From the Morphe matte palette, I'm going to be using shade 1, and I'm going to be putting this under her eyebrows. This is just going to give her her flesh tone skin color back. The soft ochre paint pot can kind of wash you out a little bit, so I'm just kind of adding that natural color right back under her brows. And I'm just using a fluffy blending brush. And I think this is the 35W palette. I'll link everything in the description. This is the completely matte palette, and I think this is the only one that's completely matte. So I don't think it'd be that hard to find. This palette is awesome, by the way. It has so many shades for every kind of look. I really love this palette. Now I'm going to be taking shade number 2, and it's a little bit of a warmer shade, and I'm just applying that in her crease. And I'm also going to be putting this on the inner and outermost areas of her eyes and leaving the center of her eyelid kind of blank at this point. Now you can actually see what I mean. I'm kind of just doing the outer V of her eye and the inner V, and blending that color up into her crease as well. And I'm just using a blending brush again. I'm just deepening that area a little bit more and concentrating it on the V. I'm going to be using shade number 3, which is almost like a rose mauve kind of color, and I'm going to be doing the exact same thing I was doing with that lighter shade and just kind of going right on top of it. And I'm still using a blending brush. When you do colors like this, or a kind of eye style like this, I feel like any eye look, I always go lightest to darkest, which seems pretty obvious, but just in case you didn't pick up on that, usually the lighter shades come first and then you do your darker shades, and it kind of gives it a very gradual and faded kind of look. It looks really blended and really neat once you're done. Now I'm mixing both of shades 4, and one is like a caramel brown and then another one is like a deep purple burgundy color, and I'm switching back and forth between a pencil brush, which is that yellow brush you see in my hand, just to kind of focus the color only on the outermost and innermost point of those of her eyelid, and then I'm just blending it out with a fluffy brush, and I keep going back and forth until I feel like it's as concentrated and blended as I want it to be. So I'm not doing such a big area like I was with that fluffy blending brush. I'm literally just doing the outermost and the innermost area of her eyelid. Now the Lorac Pro Palette, I'm using both of these shades that I labeled 1, and I did spray my brush with MAC Fix Plus, and I'm putting those shades right in the center of her eye and taking a blending brush and kind of just buffing the edges away so that it looks like it blended into the darker shades seamlessly. And you could just keep packing it on until you feel like it's at your desired color. Now she had very straight eyelashes, so usually I would not put mascara before curling them. I only did this for her because they were very straight, so the mascara was gonna kind of give it something to kind of hold on to when I curled them to keep them curled up. I needed her eyelashes to be a little stiff so that it would stay. Now these lashes I'm using are by Shop Mica, and they're literally only $1. I will link the site below because these are awesome, and I definitely reuse these as well. The quality of these lashes are so good. For $1 you would never think that you would get such good quality, and the band is almost invisible, so I really like that as well. Now I'm using the Mica eyeliner in the shade black, and I'm kind of just going over the bands very thinly just to kind of hide whatever bands might have shown a little bit and just give it a little more of a dramatic look. She didn't really need the eyeliner, but like I said, I just wanted to add some drama to the look, and just I feel like it cleans it up a little bit and makes the whole look come together. And I didn't give her a wing. I didn't feel the need for it. I'm using the NYX Dark Circle Concealer in the shade Medium, and I'm just using this right under her eyes to cover any darkness. And of course, if you're using your hands, you want to make sure you clean your hands before doing this, just in case. Now I'm using the NYX Correcting Palette, and I'm just taking the green shade and covering any redness that I see on her face. This will cancel out the redness and give me a nice canvas to work with when I put her foundation. The camera cancels out redness pretty well. She did have a little bit of redness in that area, so I'm kind of just canceling that out, like I said, before we put the foundation. And I'm using my finger just so that I can kind of smear it out, and the heat of my hand will kind of melt it into her skin so that it doesn't get cakey. I did it a little bit under her eyes just to kind of brighten that area up a little bit. Now I'm using the NARS All Day Luminous Foundation in the shade Syracuse with the Real Techniques Beauty Blender, and I did dampen this before I used it. And this is what I'm going to be applying her foundation with, as well as her contour, her cream contour, and her cream highlight. I do take it onto her ear just to cover any redness. You want to make sure you really dampen your beauty blender before using it and squeeze it out. Of course, bring it all the way down your neck into your hairline so that you don't have any obvious lines from the foundation. Some people don't like to use foundation under the eyes because you apply your concealer there, but I feel like the foundation gives it a little extra coverage, so I do apply it under the eyes as well. Now I'm using the LA Girl Concealer in Pure Beige, and I'm applying this in her T-zone, so that's under her eyes, on the center of her forehead, down the bridge of her nose, and on the center of her chin. Applying it to the center of your chin is just going to focus that highlight only on the middle of your chin, so it kind of makes your chin look a little bit smaller. And I'm going back in with that same beauty blender and blending that out. Now to blend this out, I'm using the pointy side of the beauty blender so that it doesn't kind of shear it out. It just glides it off basically. Sometimes when you use the other end of it, it can kind of shear out the concealer, and that's not what I want. I do want the coverage to stay. So if you use the pointy end, it keeps your coverage. I'm also going in with her contour with the LA Girl Concealer in the shade Beautiful Bronze. And as you can see, I'm going to be applying this on the outer area of her forehead, her cheekbones. I'm going to be doing it on the sides of her nose and right under her lip to make her lip look a little pouty, and down her jaw just to define that area as well. If you do this on the jawline, just make sure to blend it out really well and kind of drag it down a little bit so that it looks like it fades out. And again with the pointy side so that I don't take off any makeup. I don't want to shear it out. I want to keep that coverage, so I'm using the pointy end of the beauty blender. Now since I'm trying to have this color fade down her neck, I am using the thicker side of it just because I don't mind shearing it out as much. I really don't need coverage on her jawline. I just need the faint color to show from that contour. As you can see, if you don't blend it out properly, you will have that harsh line there. So you want to make sure you really blend that to make it look like a shadow. Make sure you blend your contour on your forehead into your hair, and of course let it fade out down your forehead. You don't want to look like you have a mask on, so you want to make sure you really get into your hairline. I'm using the RCMA No Color powder to let her bake, let her highlight bake. So I'm using just a regular makeup sponge, and I'm packing on that powder everywhere that I applied her highlight, and I'm just going to let it sit for a while. This is going to help keep her makeup from creasing and just set that area so that it doesn't melt off later on. The heat from her face and then this powder just packing on there is going to help the makeup kind of bind together so that everything stays in place and gets in all the fine lines. This will also help brighten her up a little bit. I know the powder is white, but it doesn't come out white. I'm using the Copper Brown Anastasia Beverly Hills contour powder to kind of go over everywhere that I contoured her face with the cream concealer. I'm doing it with a very light hand because that is a very dark shade, so a little bit does go a long way, and I just am doing this to kind of set that contour, not really make it more dramatic. I took an eyeshadow brush for her nose just so that I can really get in there and make sure that's blended and it looks precise. Now using a synthetic fiber brush, I'm just brushing away that powder. And I do go over her contour and everything just to kind of blend everything together. Going over it doesn't hurt at all. It'll just make sure everything doesn't have any lines and is blended seamlessly. Now I'm taking shades 4 again, and I'm kind of using them one at a time right now. I'm going to start with the caramel brown shade and just start with my pencil brush under her eyes, and then I will go back in with that darker color and kind of let the darkest part be on the outer V area and then fade it in towards her tear duct. I like the under eye to look kind of darkest to lightest as it gets closer to the tear ducts area. You'll kind of see what I mean. So I focus more of the color towards the outer area. Now I'm going in with that same black cream eyeliner and doing the same thing here, making the line a little bit thicker towards the outer area and thinner as it comes in. And then I'm going to go back on top of that with one of my eyeshadows again to kind of just smoke it out and let it fade out. Sometimes when you do eyeliner like this and you leave it, it looks really harsh. So the eyeshadow kind of helps blend it out a little bit and make it look a lot better. I'm using Ambering Rose blush by MAC. Love this blush. Has like gold little flecks inside of it. And focusing the color on the apples of her cheeks and kind of blending it up right on top of her contour. Not on top of it, right above it, sorry. I'm using the Jaclyn Hill Champagne Pop highlighter by Becca, and I'm doing that right above her blush. I do a little bit on that temple area right there, and I also go right above her eyebrows. I do like a little bit of a highlight right there, down the bridge of her nose and her chin, of course, to focus that area on the small point of her chin. And a little on her cupid's bow. I'm using a new mascara by MAC. I don't remember the name, so I will put it in the description, but this one is amazing, especially for the lower lashes. You're going to see how dramatic her lashes look. Insane. Love that mascara. It is water resistant, they told me as well, so it's not supposed to kind of sweat down your face throughout the day. I don't know the name of this lip liner. It's kind of like a natural beigey kind of lip liner. I will put the name down below, of course. The lipstick that I'm going to use on top of this is called Lumiere, and that's by Coloupop Cosmetics, and the lipstick is like $5. They have awesome lipsticks. There it is right there. And once you've completed the lips, the look is finished. I really hope you guys enjoy this look and find somewhere to use it. And if you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask me. I really hope me showing pictures was a little more informative, and I'm trying my best to get better at explaining this. So I'll see you in my next video. Thanks again for watching, guys, and don't forget to subscribe. Bye!